is Ruel's Running Podcast, a podcast about running, health, family, play, and an NSNG lifestyle. And now, here's your host, Ruel.
Excuse me as I rock on. That's Went Away by Dorothy Lane. Dorothy Lane out of Martinez, California. That's out of the Cut and Dry album. Check them out at dorothylanemusic.com. Yeah. Welcome to Ruel's Running Podcast. What's going on? I'm your host, Ruel Abadam. Hope everybody's doing well. It is, if it matters, and it matters to me at the moment, it's a beautiful day. The sky has some blue and it has some fluffy clouds. It's a great day to go running, and that I just might do that. I have my gear with me. But yeah, it's another episode, folks. Ruel's Running Podcast is a podcast not only about running, not only about health, not only about family and play and living and following an NSNG lifestyle. It's just a podcast that I like to have to connect and share what I do. And originally, when I started out with the podcast, folks who've listened since day one know that, this whole Vinnie Toward Rich No Sugar No Grains movement, if you will, or a community had just started, and I had a level of success, my own success in it. I dropped like 20 some pounds and improved my health and got a lot of knowledge and information on how I can be healthy. And so, wanting to celebrate that victory, I started my own podcast and wanted to be an example, just one example of somebody who does it. Because when I started out, there weren't a whole lot of those podcasts that I could sort of align with. There are a few podcasts that I followed that where there was overlap, but I think if I started out and immediately found a connection with another NSNGer, if you will, I would have been like, yeah, cool. See what's going on there. I mean, not everybody's into podcasts. That's why the Facebook community is there. I'm one of a team of Facebook admins for the Vinnie Toward Rich No Sugar No Grains group. Along with Lonnie Beecham, Mark Thompson, I'm going to be messing up people's names. And there's actually a massive team. There's a whole army of Facebook admins out there. And so there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to get into this group to find this information, because it's just awesome. And yeah, Lonnie's listening and Mark's listening, and you're like, uh-oh, Ruel screwed up. He didn't mention the rest of the gang. Okay, Katie Applegate, Megan North Hawks, Tallulah Tepper are on this team of admins. No, I didn't have permission to say their names, but I did it anyways. You're welcome. It's a good bunch of folks. We're really close, even though some of us have not even met. Eventually, Katie's in my neck of the woods, or I'm in her neck of the woods. Not inappropriately, but yeah, I work in San Francisco. She, I believe, she lives and works in San Francisco. We're in the same general sort of San Francisco Bay Area, and yeah, we probably should connect, and that way I can finally say I've met somebody face to face, because I have all of these relationships with folks in this group and in this community, but never met a single soul. How sad is that? It could just all be an illusion. I could be just in a dream right now. I've just never woken up. I'm in a coma, folks. And this is just one extended, perpetual dream state. NSNG doesn't exist. I'm really a fat slob right now. Well, that's not true. I can't be a fat slob if I've been in a coma for quite a while. I'm probably like withering away. And so my weight loss has not been because of this imaginary lifestyle called NSNG. It's because I'm just I'm surviving off of IV and that type of stuff, and my muscles are withering away because I've not been able to get up on my own or at all. I'm just in a coma. So yeah, how's everybody doing? I had a wonderful weekend. This could literally be called a Monday show, but you know, I hardly release when I record. I kind of take the time, you know, to make sure that there's a level of quality in an episode, so that, you know, only the best makes it out on the internet. Yeah, had a wonderful weekend. Right off the top of my head, the family and I went to the movies. We saw Ralph Wrecks the Internet. It was pretty smart. We enjoyed it. You know, I have three kids. My wife and I have 3 kids, and so we got to see that one. And shortly after the movies, we went to what's called Heroes and Villains. It's basically a Comic Con type stuff, type event. And that was in San Jose. That was great. You know, it's one of those things where you've got people in the business in movies and comics and all of that stuff. People show up. They're special guests. You can line up and, you know, get to meet somebody, or also actors and actresses, and you line up, get to meet them, get autographs, get your picture taken, that type of stuff. A lot of merchandise, a lot of merch related to things. You know, like my kids right now are into Funko Pops, and you know, Funko Pops are huge. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Funko, I think. And you know, almost every character that's out there that's popular has a figure, a Funko Pop figure of them. I mean, I was looking at one, the Green Hornet, right? And the Green Hornet is like this cult classic. I was looking for Kato, which was the Green Hornet's sidekick. And if anybody follows the Green Hornet or me or Bruce Lee, and I'm not putting myself up there with Bruce Lee, because Bruce Lee is amazing and the legend and one of my all-time favorites. Kato was played by Bruce Lee, so I thought that was cool. But there's a lot of like Walking Dead stuff, a lot of Disney characters and other things. A lot of comic books, a lot of toys and movies that were for sale. One section that was really, really cool was the weapons. You know, these were custom swords, you know, that if I heard right, they're meant for like cutting heads off, but folks, don't do that. That's not nice. It takes more than a band-aid to try and recover from that type of wound. But yeah, we went with a friend who's also into like things like axes and weapons and such. So we were checking the swords out. You know, there was this one vendor who is based out of Florida, and he has a whole set of swords and knives that he shows he has them just for shows. I can't remember the name of the vendor, and he rarely sells what's on the show floor. It's just for show. What he tries to do is he tries to promote the fact that if somebody wants, we'll say as like a samurai sword or some sort of sword like a samurai sword, he does it in such a way where the customer gets measured, right? And so that when he makes a sword for a person, for a customer, it is the appropriate size, length, and weight for the person who is handling the weapon. Just like if you think about, a sword and then a little child, right? It doesn't line up, right? The kid's not the right size for the weapon. So you want to like measure a weapon based on the size of someone's forearm and arm and height. So what happens is this vendor will customize a sword based on the person's makeup, and the customer gets to pick sort of the little details, like the butt of the handle, how the handle may be wrapped, what sort of design is going to be on that section of the hand, right above the handle where the blade meets the handle. And you're basically looking at least with this vendor, $1,200, right? $1,200 just to kind of start off. And I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. Even though he said that he wouldn't sell the stuff that's on the floor, as a salesperson, he was like, well, for this particular weapon, which was like 500 something on the floor, he broke out his calculator and he's like, I'd be willing to sell it to you today for this. He basically knocked off about $100, and I told him like, no, I'm not here to buy a weapon off of the show, off of the floor. I just wanted to know what's involved, because we're really interested in what you do. So we went to one of those comic those cons, I guess, and a lot of cosplay folks dressed up as Jason and zombies and other characters that you see on TV and movies. It was great. I took a picture with a big ass clown. I don't know if that was his official name. He had a badge that said vendor. And I don't follow clowns that often, so I don't know if he was dressed up as a particular character. But yeah, big old clown, smiling. Every child's favorite scary clown. It was cool. Last year we went and I got to ride a mechanical bull, got to do some like bungee trampoline sort of action with backflips and stuff. That stuff wasn't there, but there was a truck from, I believe, Ventura, California. They were set up with this whole zombie shootout deal where you had laser sights on the guns. They don't shoot anything. What you do is you laser sight targets on in this whole setup. This setup is like, it's dark and you've got life-size ghouls and zombies and things, and they've got these red lighted up targets that you've got to get your sights on and shoot these targets. And when you shoot a target, like a ghoul will start running up towards you and screaming and stuff. So there's a whole bunch of that stuff. Like it's weird, like Alien, and so it was very interactive depending if you hit the target or not. And the idea is if you make like 150 of these things, you could win like a PS4. I asked the guy, has anybody won it? He says, well, it's rare to win, but it is possible. And depending on the gun that you're on, it may be there's different levels of accuracy on a weapon. So I played only because my daughter, who was 5, wanted to play. So she got to play, but needed the help with holding the gun up and having any sort of meaningful hits. So I played with my daughter on the same gun, and she accumulated about 60 points. So you could sort of see, where if I played by myself, I would have at least hit that much. And if I had enough practice, I'd understand the behavior of how like a target would react, and when it would reset, because the targets reset and you can hit them again. So maybe have a pattern of how to hit targets a certain way that's faster. How cool would it be to win a PS4? I think it would be really cool. There's a challenge aspect, but it's $5 to play, and I wasn't about to spend my whole day there trying to figure that out. Yeah, maybe spend, I don't know, I'm thinking maybe 20 tries, so you're looking at spending like $100 worth of playtime, right? So you spend $100 to win how many hundreds of dollars the PS4 is worth. But it was a good time. We went through it pretty quick. The kids got Funko Pops. We got to see some interesting stuff. What I really dig are the artists that are there. They have a lot of prints, for sale. They do their own, graphic work, and it's inspiring. It's like, if not for me, it's sort of for like my kids, or I like my brother's kids. I know who have a good style and a point of view when it comes to drawing art. I could totally see, the kids doing this type of stuff and developing a body of work in their own style and participating in events like this and putting themselves out there. And there are folks that are there that are really well established. They've got their own personal brand as a graphic artist, and their booths are like really put together, and it's cool. Maybe I should, right? Start spending time developing a body of work, and I can reach out to I have a friend who's fantastic with with a pencil, with any medium. He's really artistic, but he's at a level where he actually has like paintings, and he's showing them at galleries, and he's earning like thousands of dollars for his work, So I don't know, but maybe it's a different thing that he can get into. Me, on the other hand, no formal training. I would just have to practice and come up with stuff. But just not sure if I'm going to have enough time to do it. I'd have to like carve out some time to dedicate to art, and then spread it out. I can't just like at one shot think of a whole, I don't know if you want to call it a series, and then just knock it out. That would just be too much for me. So yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about that. The other things we did, we hosted a get-together for friends and family. For this time of the year, it's the holidays, and we hosted a cookie exchange and gingerbread house decorating event at home. It was fantastic. It was great. We do this thing, where we buy gingerbread houses. They're small, and we assemble the core structure ahead of time. And then we have tables laid out, and we have the gingerbread houses and spots on the table, and kids come in for the day, and part of the activities is they just have at it. They can decorate the gingerbread houses however they want, right? They have all of the icing laid out, the different color icing, and little candy pieces for additional decorating, and it's a whole lot of fun, The adults get into it too. It's fun. The other thing on that day is a book exchange happens, right? The kids come in, or the parents come in with a wrapped book, and at some part of the day, the kids draw a number, and that dictates, who gets to draw out of the collection of wrapped up books. And so everyone gets to draw a book, and then after everything is open, there's an opportunity to exchange. If someone wants somebody else's book and someone's okay with it, then the kids get to do that. So they get to decorate a gingerbread house, and they get to walk away with a book. And the parents bring in a cookie, or actually a tray of cookies, which they would have baked. It doesn't necessarily have to be cookies. It could be like a brownie, a bar. It could be a cupcake or a cookie cup. You could, or just straight up cookies. And the parents would bring a dish and would bring printout of the recipe. And so the idea is the table will have a collection of home-baked goods and their accompanying recipe, and everyone gets to try each person's baked item, and at the end of the day you get to take home a collection of baked items as well as a whole collection of recipes. So there you go. Spend the holiday, part of the holiday season with relatives and friends. Try some new things, have some activity, and then once all of that activity is done, kids are just running around like kids do, playing tag, playing hide and seek. There are places in our home that I didn't realize could be considered hiding places for hide and seek, but they're small bodies, they can figure it out. It's amazing. A lot of screaming. Like my oldest son, after the weekend, he almost lost his voice. His voice is pretty gnarly right now. Then as guests pretty much leave, a lot of the relatives just hang out, their families, and they hang out. And we end up spending the whole day, the whole night with each other, catching up, folks pretty much left at 1 in the morning. So it was great. It's great catching up. It's great. It's a great time. Interesting. You ever go into a parking lot and the parking lot, the lane is meant to be, it's meant to have one direction of flow of traffic, and that's what happens every once in a while, and that's what's going on. I actually hit the lane in the wrong direction, only because I was blocked by a big old truck and I need to get in. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, the weekend was a lot of fun. Now, it's a new week, and I was contacted by a friend, Tony Portera, who, if you are a longtime follower of the podcast, Tony's been on the podcast numerous times, talking about run specific things. He reached out and he's like, "Is it time to podcast?" I'm like, "Yes." So we have to figure out when we're going to start podcasting again, not for Ruel's Running, but for the Ultra Diner, which has pretty much been on hiatus for a good number of weeks. I want to say a couple of months or more. It started out quick, but it sort of paused because a lot of busyness and schedule things needed to be worked out. So no problem. Just the way it is. You can't force it, and you can't worry about it either. There was a time and place where I probably would have freaked out, and I probably would have been depressed about not being able to deliver something like a podcast on a schedule at a certain time, and But I've been doing this long enough where, and this is I basically call the shots. I don't have to feel that level of commitment and pressure, and it's no way to sort of operate your life day to day. God, there's so many other things going on. Just recently people have lost lives and homes and property, and the last thing we need is to worry about little dumb things like, oh, I didn't release the podcast episode as expected. You say, yeah, if that means listeners are going to drop off from the podcast, then listeners will drop off from the podcast. If you have things on schedule or not, guess what? People are going to drop off from the podcast anyways. And if you have people that really, really follow you and really appreciate you, it's not going to matter. They'll be forgiving about it. And if people are douchebags about it anyways, then you don't want them as listeners, right? But it is what it is. I'm so committed to so many podcasts, but to be honest, there's just so many podcasts that I can afford to listen to at a given time. There's just so much information out there, and and one of my all-time favorite podcasts just produces so many episodes that I can't keep up. It's just the way it is. But it doesn't mean I fall off or I no longer care. Anyways, that's my long way around saying that I need to step up and start trying to revive another podcast and get things going. Speaking of podcasts, the Service Guys podcast is another podcast, which is a wonderful podcast, and it's growing. It has a lot of traction, and if you haven't heard the Service Guys podcast, please check it out. I am the producer and co-host. Service professional is Lonnie Beecham. He's a friend and also been on this podcast many times. So check us out over there at the Service Guys podcast. So a lot of the cooking that I've done lately, I'm moving on to food. I've talked about it before. The good stuff is primarily just like tri-tip steaks and that sort of thing. All it is salt, pepper, butter, and it's cooked on a cast iron pan. I'm sure if you go back an episode or two, I would have talked about it in length. I'm not going to cover it, but that's the good stuff. And the other thing that I've done recently is just buying a bunch of broccoli crowns, right? And if you have a 6-quart instant pot, so easy. Just rinse off, make sure you don't have any dirt and debris on your broccoli for whatever reason, right? And then stick the trivet into the Instant Pot and put those broccoli crowns in the Instant Pot and get about like a half cup of water. Put it in the Instant Pot. Put the lid on. Make sure it's sealed on the vent. And there's a steam setting. So easy. And all it does is it builds pressure. And once the pressure is built, it'll steam for 4 minutes. Or was it 6 minutes? Something like that. 4 or 6 minutes, and boom, you're done. It's done. You take the valve, and you release the pressure quickly, and you open the thing up. Broccoli's done. So fast. I do that on a morning while I'm cooking like bacon and eggs and other things, and when I'm done with everything else, that's all done. I don't have to worry about it. So that's just the easy stuff. The the treat stuff, the holiday stuff, the non-NSNG stuff, all that stuff that I've been doing as well, spending time in the kitchen, doing gingerbread men and sugar cookies. That's sort of my thing. My wife does a lot of the bars and the cookie cups and stuff, and that's all for the holidays. That's all also for business. My wife operates a online bake shop called The Chocolate Dozen, and I sort of I'm in the operation sort of end of things. I I, through Abadam Studios, create the website and the e-com store for the Chocolate Dozen, so that my wife can sort of operate that I guess we want to call it that business or that project. So, she's been producing her baked goods for friends, family, customers, and that's slowly growing. She shipped out package to Washington recently, and she's previously shipped out a package to Texas. There's been a lot of deliveries local and pickups local to where we're at. So, that's been a lot of that's been keeping us busy and keeping us in the kitchen. I am going to have another round of baking to do. So that falls into family time. That falls into sort of play, if you will, because it's something that we enjoy to do. So if you can get in something with your spouse and do it together, then you're able to spend quality time doing things that you love, and it helps build the relationship. It's awesome if anybody has that opportunity. Otherwise, then you're sort of like two ships passing, right, at the night or whatever it was, however the phrase goes. So yeah, good stuff. That's sort of some kitchen time. And talking about the event that we hosted, if anybody can do that, that's a great way to connect with folks, get folks together. Then rather than the traditional, just coming over and have a meal and get stuff, and and if you have little kids or not, even if you're just a set of grown folks, how many times do you get to decorate a gingerbread house, right? It's fun. It's amazing how focused the grown-ups get when they get to participate in that type of stuff. I myself built a gingerbread house, converting it into a church. Not because I'm highly religious, but I just thought, in this whole community of gingerbread houses, this whole neighborhood, there needs to be a place for someone to, get married, have confession, or just sort of, have social gatherings where someone can drop off an unwanted newborn baby or seek shelter from an abusive spouse. There needs to be a church in this community of gingerbread houses. So I took some licorice sticks, made a cross, used some toothpicks to hold the cross together, and I mounted that thing on top of the church. And I took some little tiny candy, like shapes of balls, and I stuck them along the edge of the roof, and those ended up being, I didn't even realize it at the time, it almost looks like rosary beads. So yeah, it's a church. Put a star window on the front right above the door, not upside down because that would have been contradictory to the whole thing, but yeah, a lot of fun. Now, regarding health, I want to say I'm like a lot of folks this year, where because of the season, there's a lot of food enjoyment happening, and my problem is I happen to be enjoying a lot of food even before the holiday season, because we've been taking vacations and stuff, and I've just not been intent on eating clean. I've often, when my emotional state is like I need to just have control of something, because there's just so many things happening, I just want to like relax, and my decision and my way to make that decision of relaxing is I'm not gonna care what I'm gonna shove down my throat, and I'm paying the price, right? And I've been there before, and I accept it. So I've put on weight. I've put in more weight than I imagined I would, and I'm paying that price. So as I record, I've switched gears, and hopefully I can stay in this gear where even though we haven't hit Christmas yet, we've gone past Thanksgiving, and we haven't hit New Year's, I'm going to be better at it because I need to drop that weight. I need to fit back into my clothes. And fortunately and unfortunately, I know what it's all about. I've been here all before. It's all too familiar. This, I told my wife, I am almost, because I'm 45 years old, even though I sound like I'm 12, I am in my 35-year-old body. And some may say, wow, you're 10 years, you're saying you're in your physique of 10 years ago, man. But that's not a good thing, because approximately 10 years ago I was in my heaviest, and that's not good, and that's not healthy. So I have some work to do. And I had hoped to switch gears a week ago or so, but a lot was going on. We weren't hit with a vacation. We went on a vacation, and there was a lot of busyness at work, and there was a lot of wildfires going on in the area that had caused a lot of smoke to just hurt the air quality. So no one was out there, and I was following a lot of runners and trail runners and ultra runners in the area, and they too were feeling depressed about not being able to go out on a run. So it was tough. So now things have been clear. I can just stay on this new gear and commit to, getting fit and getting exercise and watching what I put down my mouth. And I'm sitting in this parking lot, and I'm watching vehicles get towed, and that's kind of concerning me right now. A lot of people park in this parking lot before they head over to the office, and the last thing I wanted to do was park here, end up leaving at the end of it, coming back to an empty parking lot because everyone's vehicle got towed. That wouldn't be cool. That would not be cool. So there we go. I was talking to friends recently at that get together that I described earlier about fatdocumentary.com, and I don't talk about it that much on this podcast, and I've lived and operated NSNG on and off varying levels so long, but for the most part, I'm all in as far as on that it's the way that I should live my life, but when I get an opportunity, I talk about this stuff to friends and family and try to gain their interest. I was talking about an artist friend earlier. I mentioned Fat, a documentary, that he should check it out, because not only because of the lifestyle, but the information that is in the trailer is pretty eye-opening, and can't wait for that film, Fat, a documentary, to release next year. But I was telling him my friend, the story around things that I've been a part of since being in NSNG and making friends, being friends with Vinnie Tortorich, and Anna Vocino, and a lot of folks in the community, and how we've all been able to help ourselves out health-wise, help each other out as a support sort of community, but also help the lifestyle, help Vinny, help Anna, help each other out. And I described things that, the things that I've done over the years with the community and for Vinny have been things like, designing things for the community, designing the NSNG logo, the original logo, which Vinny sold on shirts and made stickers. And over the years, just using I've been pretty handy with the memes and the GIFs and all that stuff, and I just to sort of keep interest in the Facebook community, I would just throw those on and have a lot of fun. And how things have evolved from when Vinny would he would need help pushing things like he's going to be on a radio show, or he's going to have a live show, or he's going to be on a different podcast, making sure that I do my part along with the rest of the team, like Lonnie and Mark and the other Facebook admins, that we push that stuff. Not we push it, but we post and we promote and we share all that stuff in the community Facebook group so that folks can pay attention and dive in. At the same time, grow the movement, because it's stuff that people need to know. And so I described to my friend how all that stuff has led to all these different, has helped along these things little by little. Now Vinny is releasing this movie, and looking back, it's like, wow, to be a little part of that movement, and watch the Facebook community grow in numbers, it and hearing people just discovering this lifestyle that is NSNG, and they themselves, after however long, drop weight, improve their health markers. It's nice. It's great. I don't know what that's going to look like down the road, right? Because I don't know. I was listening to a podcast where Vinny and Tallulah were talking about the movie and how fantastic the movie's going to be. Fat, a documentary, right? Or fatdocumentary.com. And if it is going to be what I'm hearing Vinny say it's going to be, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait to check it out. I can't wait to share it. I can't wait to hear from others that I don't even know. And I can't wait for those folks to come to me and say, hey man, you remind me, the way you're living your life, you remind me of this movie. Have you seen this movie? It's called Fat, a documentary. And then that's when I'll know, like, it's full circle. I have this coworker who it took me by surprise. He said, hey man, I have this book, Vinny Tortorich. It's called Fitness Confidential. Have you read that book? I'm like, yeah. So, I'm like, yeah, I know Vinny. I know the book. I have the book. I have triple signed copy of the book. Him, Dean Laurie, and Guam signed the book. It's amazing. I'm glad that I've never met anybody else who owned the book before. So, be full circle. So I can't wait for the movie to come out and for it to come full circle. Because then that's when that, it's making an impact and it's getting out there and it's growing. So I'm going to mention again, fatdocumentary.com. The film is titled Fat, a Documentary. Vinny Tortorich, Peter Pardini making that film. Yeah. So anyways, I need to, before I wrap up, I need to, actually I'm just going to wrap up. But my update on the run at this point in time, I could say that I'm upset, but there's a reason why things are the way they are. A month or so ago, I signed up for a 50-miler, and I signed up for a 50-miler, and I ended up not doing it. That was the Dick Collins. Other things had to happen in my life, other events, so that couldn't happen. And I remember that I covered it before, and it was the best thing that had to happen. I believe my wife was sick, so it just didn't make any sense for me to be away for the whole day while my wife was sick, and there were 3 kids that needed to be taken care of, and she needed care as well. So, and then the second 50-miler that I signed up for has yet to happen. It was the Hunter S. Thompson Fear and Loathing. It's a 50K and a 50-miler. I signed up for the 50-miler. There wasn't a registration fee. It's a fat-ass format, but there was still sign up on Ultra sign up for it. And, I was gunning for that one as well, but again, that was something that I need to buy. I have to bow out of. I won't be able to make it. So I contacted Shipping Fu, one of the co-directors or the director. I'll say co-director, and told him that unfortunately I'm not going to be able to make it after all. So just in case it makes a difference, and my entry is blocking others from participating, I needed to find out if I had to do the full cancel. So I did that. I went on Ultra sign up and did the full cancel. Gonna miss it. So what that left me, and now we're at the beginning of December. The thought was, before the year ends, I could just go on a run. Just run. Find a day where I can run the whole day. Find a day where I can run for, 12 hours or something, and wrap up the year that way. I haven't put a lot of thought into when that might be, just because it's the holidays, there's a lot going on. So right now I'm just going to have to wing it, and I'm just going to get as many runs as I can during the week. And to be honest, I'm content with just simply doing 30 minutes out, 30 minutes back, and zone 2, and just be thankful that I have that. In the past, I've done like hill repeats in San Francisco. I've gone out across town and back, and and covered as much mileage as I can stand to do in that period of time. And I would race buses, on Columbus Street, that type of stuff. But no, I don't need to beat myself up. I'm not training hard for anything. I just want to be happy that I can be out. And not hurt myself. So that's pretty much what the MO is right now. I am just going to be casual. And so that's my run update. If you are listening and you have events coming up for maybe some holiday runs or some legit events and trail runs and stuff, good luck with those things. I wish I could be out there with you guys, but enjoy your run. And shout out to Daniel Weston. I know that you're over there doing your thing, and you tune in here and there. And I know I took a break. I've taken a break on some of the podcasts, and I know that it's stuff that you've been looking forward to. And Daniel, by the time you listen to this, I hope that the envelope I sent your way got to you. Thank you so much for your friendship and support of Ruel's Running, and I'll catch you online. And for the rest of you as well, I'll catch you in the next episode. Till then, hug your friends, hug your family, eat something delicious, and go run. something. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Ruel's Running Podcast with Ruel. If you like what you just heard, share it with your friends and your enemies. Also, be sure to check out the site over at ruelsrunning.com. This has been another Coffee with Heavy Cream production. Join us next time for another silly show of Ruel's Running Podcast.